What's good, everybody? It's The Wave, and we back with another reaction video. But like I always say, these are more so watch with me videos. So today, my bad, I know everybody is familiar with Complex. That's one of my favorite media outlets for sure, for like years, since the magazine. But Speedy, that's my guy. Definitely be having some dope interviews. His most recent interview with Glorilla really went viral. So I know this one is for sure gonna be good. Stephen A, you already know him, LeBron. That thing's still continuing, but I saw some things in the opening credits, and I definitely want him to get into it about him fighting and wrecking LeBron and everything. So yeah, let's get into this video. Make sure to like and subscribe. Make sure to comment some of your favorite moments, and like I always say, follow these entities too that we checking out. But anyways, let's get into the video. It's The Wave. Let's do it.
57 freaking years old. I'm not 37 or 27.
Right.
I'm 57. But now y'all want to step to me.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? I got it.
Is there a difference between 57 and 37? I'm talking about with the people that stepped into him.
What's going on, guys? I'm Speedy, and the name of this show is 360 with Speedy. And today I am joined by maybe the hardest working man in television. Stephen A. Smith is in the building. What's up, man? How are you?
Man, how you doing?
Good. We're happy to have you.
It's good to finally be here, man. Sorry I had to cancel a couple of times. It's been hectic.
Yeah, I told you this off camera, but it's only right.
So I hate to bring this up, right? But when Kevin Gates went to the game and, you know, nothing was really said to him, it makes me question the whole thing about the whole motivation with your son, because I'm sure your wife, you stepping the same way, right?
That I tell
Or is
the
that
people
just
watching
me?
at home.
Yeah.
We've had multiple presidents, musicians, actors, athletes. The single hardest person to book for this show has been you.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
I'm here now.
Yeah, we actually have an award for you. We're gonna bring a trophy out at the end. The hardest booking.
I got you.
Let's start the timeline from the beginning for a second. Born and raised in Queens, New York,
Born in the Bronx.
Born in the Bronx, but raised in Queens, New York.
Raised in Hollis, Queens. Yeah.
I'm gonna take as much Queens credit as possible, so forgive me if I'm misspeaking, but Queens, New York is in the building, obviously. Talk to me about upbringing. What was it like for you?
It wasn't easy. Mom and dad were married, but my father was barely home. My mother had to work 2 jobs, 7 days a week, 16 hours a day, to take care of me and my 5 siblings, 4 older sisters and an older brother. Older brother died in a car accident in 1992. 4 sisters still living, all in New York. You know, me personally, it was hard for me because I had dyslexia and I had trouble comprehending what I was reading and stuff like that. So I was in the 4th grade with a 1st grade reading level. I got left back, got ridiculed a lot because of it, and had to work my ass off to get to where I am.
And before you got to this, Stephen
I didn't even know all of
a
that.
lot of stops along the way.
Yeah.
FIT, Winston-Salem State University.
Yep.
But then you also were making, if I'm not mistaken, $15,000 a year. You were at the Greensboro News and Record.
Greensboro, $15,300. Greensboro News and Record, I was an editorial assistant. And then while I was doing that, I was also moonlighting for the paper, writing for their sports department, covering high school football and basketball in the Piedmont Triad area in North Carolina. You know, so I would work from like 8 to 6, and then from 7 to midnight, I would work. And all I wanted in return was to write my articles so I can build my portfolio and ultimately parlay that into an internship, which would ultimately parlay into a job. And that's how it happened. You know, but all my eyes was always on the prize because I was always hungry. You know, it didn't matter what the situation is, I was gonna go for it. And my attitude was, ain't nobody beating me. I'm going for it. You're gonna have to outwork me, you're gonna have to outskill me, you're gonna have to out-persevere me. You're gonna have to outlast me. And I don't think that people are gonna be able to pull off all 4 against me. That's just always been my attitude.
When people meet rappers, i.e. Jay-Z or whoever,
definitely respect that.
A lot of times they want to rap for them on the street. When people meet you, do they try to like debate you?
Yeah, they do. I shut them down instantly.
What do you do?
I don't debate for free. As hard as I gotta work, I'm not putting up with that shit.
So people,
they've come up to me.
You be at a restaurant or where you be
Only
at?
time, listen, most people, it could be anywhere. It could be a restaurant, it could be on the streets, it could be in a supermarket, it could be a lot of sports.
I'm sure there's a time you could catch him at the right time, though.
Bar, it could be a lot of different places. And they don't come up to you saying, I want to debate you. They come up to you actually debating.
Like mid-debate. LeBron is
I
the
saw you
GOAT.
said this, you know, Stephen A., you got to get it together. I'll be like this. You know what? And I remember one guy rolled up on me and he was like, man, I'm betting you. I think I'd whip your ass in the debate. And I looked at him and I said, You're probably right. I said, I tell you what, come see me after you spent 20 fucking years doing what I did.
Yeah.
Then come talk to me. I said, don't come to me with that bullshit. You know, I think that, you know, in the age of podcasting, YouTube, and all of this other stuff, I think that it's a mixed bag, because on one hand, I love the fact that there are additional outlets that can allow you to monetize your brand and build yourself, and you don't have to be at the mercy of corporate America, walking, you know, driving in your car, taking mass transit and getting to a job and punching the clock every day. I totally appreciate that. And I want everybody to get paid. But the flip side to it is that when you get to bypass layers in order to get there, you don't appreciate the grind the way you would if you endured it.
Right.
And most importantly, you don't appreciate and respect those who did go through the grind.
Right.
And so as a result, it breeds disrespect and ultimately contempt, because somebody that earned it has something that you don't. And you're not looking at the fact that they earned it.
Right.
And that's one of the things is, like, you know, me as a black man, and when you see somebody that says, if you white and you call me a loudmouth, who's just running my mouth and not really putting in the work, the first people I'm looking at is black people. Because the first thing I'm saying to myself is, so when I interned at the Greensboro News and Record and the Atlanta Journal-Constitution before that, and I started out my career at the New York Daily News as a high school sports reporter, and I worked for free before that in High Point, North Carolina for the Greensboro.
See, that's definitely something part of the grind for sure. Like that interning, you know, putting in more work for the experience than for the dollar.
News and Records, High Point.
It's not easy.
And then I ultimately go from the New York Daily News to the Philadelphia Inquirer. And while I'm at the Philadelphia Inquirer, I land at CNNSI, I land at Fox Sports, I land at ESPN. I'm doing the newspaper and ESPN at the same time. I'm doing the newspaper and ESPN, and ultimately, quite frankly, my own damn daily television show at the same time. I'm putting in 18 to 20 hours a day. I got a national syndicated radio show. I'm still doing these other things for the network. I do all these things. And you, as black people, know what we have to endure in order to get our share. And you know my resume, and you just gonna let these people sit up there and talk about me like that, like I don't have a resume. See, when I'm
so
looking
you
at
feel like the onus and responsibility should be on our people to defend you?
In cases like that, yes. In terms of a resume, that's it. Not about you liking me, not about you agreeing with me,
right.
Not about you trying to act like I'm some perfect dude that's flawless and devoid of mistakes. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about when they try to bring in the resume.
Copy.
When they try to act like you have folks who try to bypass.
Do y'all agree with that?
That's the resume.
In regards to like
and
having
I'm going
to
like, and I've said
speak
this
up for
publicly
him
before.
because of resume?
You do understand, especially if you black, that if you get to bypass my resume, what they get to do to yours, right?
Right.
Because you didn't do what I did.
Right, you didn't put in them 20 years.
You didn't put in no, you didn't, well, it's 30 now.
Right.
But you didn't do all of that. So I'm like, if I did it, then I did it. And one of the things that I try to make sure that I exemplify, it don't matter whether I like you or not. I'm never going to question the resume. The resume is the resume.
Sure.
It doesn't matter how I feel about
Right.
you.
Opinions aside, that's like factual based.
That's fact-based stuff. Why? Because if your emotions can influence your interpretation of the facts, then you cannot be trusted.
I like that. I like
One
that.
thing people should be
Exclude
able to
them
trust
emotions.
is that you will speak facts.
like
If you're
that.
willing to speak facts, it doesn't matter how you feel about somebody, because you're willing to speak facts. It's like,
I
yo,
respect
that's
that.
what it is. I got to say that. I got to give props where it's due.
You, in your career, have given upward of 30,000, 35,000, maybe 40,000 takes on television in your career.
Really?
You have. If you had to think of maybe your worst take ever, what comes to mind?
Oh, you
I don't
got
know.
a few.
When I think about bad takes, no, bro.
You've had some.
Give them to me.
Oh, well, you went a stretch of predicting the wrong NBA Finals champ.
Those are not takes.
It's not a take to say.
No, I thought you was talking about a debate in terms of a prediction.
Yeah, okay.
No. Hell yeah, I had 6 consecutive years.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That was pretty
shit is
damn bad.
Yeah,
and I watched
I
that
knew you knew
compilation
stats.
video.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's gonna be the Golden State Warriors,
Right.
and then it's like congratulations to the Miami Heat or whatever.
Yeah.
That shit is funny to me.
It is funny. And by the way, it's funny to me too. I don't care. You understand what I'm saying? So, I mean, who the hell ain't wrong? What are we supposed to do? My feelings are supposed to be hurt?
Nah.
I'm going like this. Okay, so let's analyze it. I mean, I remember one year, in 2011, I'm supposed to think that J.J. Barea and Jason Terry is going to be able to guard LeBron in the post in the fourth quarter. I'm supposed to believe that. I picked Miami the year they lost to San Antonio. I'm sorry, I picked San Antonio the year they lost to Miami.
When Ray Allen hit the
they bringing the tape out the whole bit. I'm supposed to know that Greg Popovich is going to take out Tim Duncan from the damn game. I laugh about stuff like that. Now, when
that was a wild series.
Really,
sure.
when I really feel wrong,
those two
is when
back-to-backs.
somebody got their ass kicked.
San Antonio
And I thought they
Miami.
were going to win.
Right.
Golden State, you taking LeBron and Cleveland out in 5. But during the game, LeBron knocks Draymond to the floor. Draymond kicks up his leg. Right. He ultimately ends up getting suspended because the league gives LeBron the damn stimulus package, to help him out. So you do that, and then the next thing you know, you go to Game 5 in Oakland. Not only did I pick them to win the series, I picked them to win in 5. Okay, they had them. They were up 3-1. They go back. Draymond suspended. Bogut and Iguodala gets hurt. So I look at it, I'm going like this. Y'all want to ridicule me and say I'm wrong? Knock yourself out. The check's still coming. I'm good.
The check still clears for sure. Right. Your predictions are always rooted in fact. And so for that, I will definitely throw you a bone. But it is objectively funny to watch.
I'm not offended by people. Hell, I laugh at me sometimes. Damn, I did do that. Oh, they got me.
You got me.
I don't get mad at shit like that. Man, y'all listen. Everybody, first of all, in today's day and age, you got a job to do. But aside from that, even when it may not have been a job, it's all in fun. You think y'all messing with me? I got 4 older sisters. You got older sisters? You ever see them ridicule you? You got cats that you grew up with. How you think they came at me? I mean, of course, everybody gonna talk shit. We got it. So it doesn't. I'm never offended by something like that. I'm like, yeah, you got me there. Whatever. You know what I'm saying? But it's like that's all you got. Because remember, I'm giving all of these takes.
You seem to be a well-traveled man. The gig has taken you, it seems, all across the world.
Right.
Have you considered a trip to Turkey?
I haven't. I haven't thought about it. I should. I've been told Turkey. I've been told Russia. I've been told Israel. I've been told Istanbul. I've been told Croatia. Croatia's been number 1 on everybody's list. Every time somebody tells me where I need to go, they always mention Croatia. So,
but I think for you specifically, Turkey would be a great place.
Because of what the other Turkey thing, my nephew Josh or something mentioned of that.
What did he say?
I don't know. I don't remember what the hell this is. I don't know.
Turkey specializes in like hair transplants. And
yeah. Oh.
Hey, Speedy, bruh.
Got you.
Damn.
I don't mind. You know what I'm saying? If it works, my girl's not complaining. I'm living a good life. Last time I checked before I had her,
right there.
I was living a pretty good life.
Joints,
I'm good.
though.
So I don't want to offend anybody. I'm not anti anything. I live my life. I let people live there. I'm a fiscal conservative. I'm a social liberal. But I don't really give 2 shits about what a man thinks about how I look. So I think it's very, very important. A woman talking to me about how I look.
Right. As long as the ladies is locked in. Then
I could give a shit. I don't care how men think about how I look.
I like that a lot.
Yeah.
I want to talk about some very iconic Stephen A. Smith moments across the years.
Yep.
And maybe you can just add some context or some thoughts about that moment.
Sure.
Let's start off with one of my personal favorites was Stay Off the Weed.
Yeah.
It's one of your most popular.
Stay off the weed.
When's the last time you hit the blunt?
I don't smoke.
In life?
No.
You've smoked once.
No, I smoke a cigar.
You've never smoked a blunt in your life?
No.
You've never smoked weed?
No.
Is that why you feel like you have such a strong stance?
No. I grew up, distant relatives, stuff like that, drug addicts, things of that nature. Some of my boys, drugs, etc. And I understand usually that's hard.
Don't associate the 420 with none of that.
Cool, but I've seen cats addicted to weed. I've seen, cats walking around looking like damn zombies over weed. And in covering sports, yes, I have seen it in players. and I've seen how they have performed when they were, dare I say, inebriated or whatever, high, whatever word you want to use. So what I think about is the rules and the regulations of what that's going to cost you. Like, my man Snoop had to come on my show on a couple occasions to defend me because we all know Snoop and weed are synonymous, you know? And he had to let everybody know that brother ain't never told me not to smoke, not one time. It's totally true. Right. Because it don't cost him his money.
Right, but an athlete...
it's costing you your money. And so, you know, for me, being...
Now that for sure, if anything is getting in the way of any progress or success in your life, you should definitely take a look at that for sure.
Growing up poor, all of that, I'm like, y'all know what this is. Y'all come from the same environment I came from. You gonna just blow your money because you want to get high?
Right.
That to me is stupid. And so that's where it emanated from. And then it caught on, and so I didn't mind saying it. But I was only talking about if it costs you your money. If it's not, puff, puff, puff away.
Lamar Odom, smoking crack.
Crack, yes. He was.
Thoughts on that?
What a segue, Speedy.
Time, that moment.
Lamar Odom is good.
Hold on, the way you said
he was on crack. It's true. But
yeah,
I didn't listen. Lamar Odom
gonna be mad about that,
is one of the nicest
and they both from Queens.
You'll ever meet.
Queens as well.
So I'm Christ the King.
Queens legend.
So I'm just, there you go. So I'm like, when I said it, I'm arguing with Max Kellerman at the time. You understand? And I'm making my point. I'm not, the way they did it, like froze it and all that, like crack. I'm like, good Lord, you know, they'll do anything. They'll do anything with these videos these days, you know. So, but I was like, you know, I was just saying what is, but it was more towards Max than it being about Lamar. You know what I'm saying? And it was also about Phil Jackson. And how I think that the New York should barricade his ass out of the state. Don't ever allow him in. Well, not just that decision, the job he did in New York, and that was his first. That was his first decision. You know what I'm saying? His first thing.
Day one on the job.
Exactly. So I mean, that's all it was. But I mean, you know, ultimately, you know, I apologize for that because Lamar, obviously, you know, his people rather, you know, took it that way. He had gone through a lot, and I'm not wishing anything. He's always a good brother. It's just that it was the truth.
Right. He was. My maybe all-time favorite, though, and this one I don't know if you'll remember, but you were doing a drop for TAB Sports, which was a young woman who was, I don't know, a young reporter, and she asked you
that Hispanic honey from is it the one from Puerto Rico? I think she's from Puerto Rico.
She said, "Can I get a drop?" And your words were, "TAB Sports, whatever. Do not take your eyes off it." And then you looked at her for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Vaguely, but I have no regrets.
Vaguely, but he remembered right what he was talking about.
If I see a fine ass woman, I'm gonna acknowledge that she's
sure.
fine. I mean, usually it's to myself, but she came up to me and asked me to do a drop. So okay, that's what I did. It wasn't like I was at work and I walked up to her and you know tried to step to her or whatever. I don't do that because I don't shit where I eat. But the point is that in the end, that's what it is. And I know everybody's, oh my goodness, you don't shit where you eat. In other words, you don't mess around on the job.
Right.
Period. I don't do that. I don't mess with stuff that's gonna mess with my money. That's not what I do. But she was fine. And I know that. And I have no regrets about what I said.
Have you seen that clip recently, or it's been years?
Not recently, but it was memorable.
Bro.
Because she was memorable.
Do not take your eyes off it.
It's just the truth.
For obvious reasons.
Obvious reasons. You know, that's what I mean. Hey,
how much of this stuff is you, like, kind of just off the fly saying things?
Pretty much all of it.
And then it just goes?
I mean, the factual information that I espouse over the airwaves, stuff like that, you know, you're prepping for every show. So that's, you know, so that information, I know I'm going to give that information. But what I say and how, in terms of how I say it, I never know. That's like...
It just come out that way. And
I'm sitting in front of you. You see me right here. This is me.
Politics.
Yes.
It seems as though, from my perspective, a lot of your
I'm glad he asked it about this.
opinions skew conservative or Republican. You've said that you're fiscally conservative and socially liberal.
Yes.
But you identify as an independent.
Yes.
Just quick, where are you at in that sphere?
Exactly what you said.
Okay.
I don't like either side. I am fiscal conservative because I don't like high taxes, which is why you'll never see me buy a house here in California. I respect the hell out of Gavin Newsom. You'll never see me vote for him because taxes are too damn high in the state of California. I don't like that. I don't like when I see a whole bunch of folks on the left giving the impression that, you know what, we need free universal health care. I'm down for that. But when you say that you're willing to take 75 to 80% of my money, as some of them have, we got a problem. I ain't giving up 75 to 80% of my money and going to work every day. I'm not doing that. I'm sorry. Especially when most of the time I don't know what the hell the government is doing with that money. So what I like to do is I like to give the impression you don't know where I'm going. You don't know whether or not I'll turn against you. You don't know whether or not I'll support you or not. You got to sell me. If I go to buy a house, you can't just tell me about it. I got to see it. If you can't, you're gonna tell me about a car, you can't just come to me with that. I need to drive it. I need to see it. I need to experience it. And I think that that's what we should be doing politically. It's not to say to take sides. It's to encourage you to have to sell me on you. And don't do it by constantly telling me how awful the other side is. Tell me what you bring to the table. And so when I speak against the Democrats, this election was the last straw. I mean, I'm telling you right now, if it were not for Trump, I'd have voted for Nikki Haley in a heartbeat. Oh, free student loans, your student loans, we just gonna erase all of that. I didn't get to do that. I had to pay that shit. I had to pay my back. I had to work 2 jobs, 3 jobs to do that. Oh, so now that's what we're doing? And so you see a whole bunch of stuff going on. Oh, by the way, you looking out for the young ladies out here. So you know what? We living in a cancer culture where, you know what, any little thing that you could potentially do could get your ass fired, right? Because we looking out for the ladies. But the same breath, now you're going to turn around and allow a transgender woman to compete against females in sports. And you're going to sit up there and say, hey, we looking out. Really? It's all inconsistent.
Man, he's speaking very freely, man. I'm surprised.
He's all over the place. So at some point in time, we have a brain for a reason, and we get to exercise common sense and to peel out a level of hypocrisy. That's not to give a pass to the other side. Hell, they may not be shit either. I get that part. But if you in my face telling me that I should vote for you, and I got these things to point out about that could be problematic, and then your response to that is, well, if you voting against me, you voting against women. If you voting against Kamala Harris, you being a misogynist. Everywhere I've turned, black men have loved women. We've loved our mamas. We've loved our grandmas. We've loved our aunts. Yeah, we can be problematic at times, no doubt about that. But I'll stand up for black men any day of the week and twice on Sunday. I'll stand up for brothers, because I consider Hispanics my brothers and sisters too. I'll stand up for this all day, every day. What the hell are you talking about? We don't love women, we misogynistic. No, that's not us. We don't do that. So yeah, I speak against stuff like that. And I know it ruffles feathers, but I can give less than a damn. As
an independent, you've said that you judge success of presidency on, quote, morality and statesmanship. Is the president looking out for the best interests of the country or themselves? By that metric, amidst your other metrics that you measure, what do you feel is a fair assumption of, or fair assessment of how this current presidency is going?
I don't like what he's doing. The right likes what he's doing. I will give him credit for this. He's kept his word. What he's doing with the tariffs, he told us what he was going to do. What he's doing with the borders, he told us he was going to do it. And so
I'm not into none of this, but that is true. That's one thing you can't
contrary
say.
to what
He
we
doing what he said he was going to
customarily
do.
seen from
So nobody should be
politicians.
surprised.
For better or worse, he does what he says he's going to do.
Right.
It's just that what he says he's going to do, I ain't down for. You want to go after China, go after China. What you going after our allies for? You're going after our allies, you're turning our allies into China's allies because they're against us now because you went after them. That doesn't seem to make sense to me. You said that you was going to get rid of inflation. That hasn't happened. There wouldn't be a recession. It seems en route, right? DEI, you give the impression that that's about minorities in this country. Well, why don't you bring up the fact that DEI was necessary because of the treatment of minorities in this country? It amazes me how they forget certain things.
Sure.
But then I look at our society and let's make it personal. Let's look at me. Let's look at the criticism that I get. People forget that I say those things all the time and that I go across the aisle on left wing and right wing networks saying the same thing, but they forget all of that. They only peel apart something that I said that pissed them off, but they didn't peel apart the 90% of the things that I said that was in favor of the kind of things that we're talking about here. So you just realize that people get
That's societal things, though. Like,
emotional,
that's just what it is.
and as a result, they get deaf because they hear what they want to hear and they dismiss what they want to dismiss. But that's why they're where they are, and I'm where I'm at, which is in a position where I get to articulate and disseminate a message to the masses. If they were doing what they were supposed to be doing and they were truly committed to it, then they wouldn't dismiss themselves from the possibility of doing so by virtue of alienating folks all the time.
As it stands now, we've had 2 United States presidents on this show, President Barack Obama, President Biden. Our request to President Trump went ignored. Perhaps that will happen one day. You, it seems, every other day have a different decision on whether or not you could be the 3rd president to be on this show. Today, what's your stance?
Well, I haven't changed. Once again, you saying that I switched positions? I haven't switched positions.
No, you have.
No, I haven't.
Yes, you have. I've heard you say, I'm ruling it out. Then, like maybe 2 weeks ago, you've said, I've been left no choice. I got to at least keep my options open.
I said, I've been compelled after talking to my pastor and numerous politicians who I would not name because they didn't want their names mentioned, and other elected officials on Capitol Hill. They asked me to leave the door open, so I'll leave it open. But let me be clear. I just signed a new contract. Presidency ain't paying me that. That's a huge damn pay cut that I would have to take. Not to mention...
Would you be willing to take that pay cut?
No, absolutely not. So what I'm saying to you is that I've said all of these things.
Hey, Steve, it ain't about that break.
Now, in 3 years from now, if I change my mind, that would be a change. What I'm saying to you is what I've been saying.
I don't know.
It's what I've been saying all along. I am not a politician. I'm not qualified. I don't want to be one. I'd like to be a voice to tackle the issues that need to be tackled to make sure that America's paying attention to what we need to pay attention to. I got that part. That's in my lane because that's what I do as a commentator / pundit, etc. But I have no desire to be a politician whatsoever. I like getting paid. I want to continue to get paid to be successful without the scrutiny of tens of millions of American citizens who might not like my positions on the border, the economy, health care, or something else. I'd rather not have that problem, but if desperate times call for desperate measures and enough people come my way, I'll leave the door open for
what's going on with Elon is a great example of that.
the possibility. That to me is what I've been saying.
Crash
If
what
I've
you got
said
going
anything
on
else,
and
my
built.
apologies.
Fair enough. One of my favorite quotes you've had is, it's not about getting your ass kicked, it's about what you're willing to take an ass kicking for.
Correct.
Great quote. What do you feel would have happened if you would have swung on LeBron?
I know a lot of people think
Comment, please, at the bottom.
that,
Please, what y'all think.
and I really didn't want to talk about it because I don't want to talk about him. But the bottom line is this. People can say I get my ass kicked. Fine, go ahead. Did you see who I walked in with?
I did.
He was 10 feet away. So whatever's going to happen would have had to happen quick. Because that brother...
Hey, I'm just saying, like, 1 or 2 punches could do some damage.
Right
so
there.
I get you got security, but
is 330
watch your mouth
plus.
still.
That is my bodyguard, not to mention a whole bunch of other people that I usually have around me. I really have very little to be worried about. Anybody could get got, and I'm fully aware of that. But one of the other things on a very, very serious note, everywhere I go, ESPN knows. Local police, FBI, everything. He's just with me.
Right.
But I'm always guarded because I'm an investment. We got people out here that's got people protecting them, and they bringing in a little paper. I make a lot of money for the mouse. So if people want to think that I'm just walking around and I don't have anybody around me, he's just my blood. That's like my brother right there.
Right. So you like, what you're saying is...
I'm always protected.
You like your odds.
I like my odds. Now, all I'm trying to say is, and then other people brought this up, and we
you
gonna
ain't gotta be tough, man. You don't gotta be tough.
be real here. We gonna stop playing games with this particular subject. It's not about LeBron. It's about anybody.
Right.
If somebody walked up to you and hit you, you gonna do nothing?
No, you gotta defend yourself.
That's all I'm trying to say. I didn't say
it's
when.
It's just funny hearing it, you know.
Yeah, I know that, but
it's LeBron
I'm going
James.
like this. Yeah, because I would have.
Right.
And the only reason
And we've
I'm saying
seen you
I would,
box.
the only reason, no, you haven't.
Why? I saw
You saw that sorry ass video from a decade ago with two torn rotator cuffs. But if people want to think that's how I throw hands, it's okay.
So you saying
I'm not saying nothing.
You got him if need be.
All I ever said to anybody is, if that's how you think
Steven ain't got them hands, bro.
if that's how you think I throw hands, you do what you do.
But you still got torn rotator cuffs.
But you got him if you need.
I'm good. It's cool. It is what it is. I don't have to fight at this particular moment in time. I think it's kind of pathetic that people look at me at age 57 and ask me, not you, but I'm talking about people coming at me like that. It's like, I'm 57 freaking years old. I'm not 37 or 27.
Right.
I'm 57. But now y'all want to step to me.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? I got it. Feel free. Do what you have to do. All I know is this. You know, again, and I've truly meant that. All my life I've been that way. I'm not sitting up here telling you that I'll kick somebody's ass. What I'm telling you is that I'm not going to sit by and let somebody just put their hands on me. I don't give a shit who you are. Maybe the one exception might have been Mike Tyson in his heyday. I might have been like, I'm sorry, what I do.
You might not have a chance. You might be asleep by then.
Damn right. I totally believe that. Mike Tyson? Hell yes.
In 2005, you signed a 3-year deal at ESPN that paid you $1.3 million annually. Can you tell us the story of the time you walked into somewhere your mom was working?
Bro, they just be like, it's just putting money out there, dog.
And retired her on the spot?
I'm saying,
she was
like, the interview.
Working at the PAL Center. She had retired as a nurse at the Queens General Hospital in Queens, New York, right off Grand Central Parkway. She was a registered nurse, the assistant head nurse for 25 years. She had retired. She was living off her pension. And she was working at the PAL doing bingo and all of this other stuff just to get some change so she could go on vacation. She loved going to Atlantic City and stuff like that, the slot machines and everything like that. And obviously my family's from St. Thomas, Virgin Islands, so she'd take a trip back there. Well, once I signed that contract, it was at the ABC building off of Columbus Avenue in Midtown. And I left the offices, drove straight to Queens. And I walked down there and I took her out of there and I said, let's go. She didn't know what was going on. I said, and I looked at her boss and said, she won't be back. And I drove and we lived 3 blocks away. And I said that you won't be working anymore. I just signed this contract and that's about that. I can't afford to pay the mortgage and all of this other stuff, but I can afford this. You know, your trips, your vacations, stuff like that. Those days are over. And you don't have to work no more to get pocket change, just to save up some money to go on vacation and stuff like that. And that was the proudest moment of my life.
Damn, that's special. That's the dream.
Yeah, that's
dream for a lot of us.
That's the dream,
Sure,
which is
that's
why,
definitely the dream, dog.
You know, a lot of people was happy. He just agreed to a new deal with ESPN and stuff like that. But for me, moments like that are always a bit bittersweet because my mother was the greatest person that I've ever known in my life. And I've never loved anybody as much as her until my daughters were born. And, you know, for me to be in this position, what I could do for her now, and she's not here, that, you know, that really, really hurts.
Yeah.
It hurts a lot. So, you know, a lot of times I keep myself preoccupied and stuff, because those are the kind of things that are on my mind. I could be at a game. I could be at a game at crypto.com.
Man, this joint go like, it go left to right.
I'm sitting
This
at the
whole
game,
interview.
and at some point in time, she'll cross my mind. It doesn't matter where I'm at or what I'm doing, she enters my mind. And when that happens, I instantly get sad because she's not here.
Damn, condolences.
Thanks.
A quick Google search says that your net worth is $25 million. Is that accurate?
No,
Is it far off?
not really.
So it's pretty close.
Not that close, but we'll see. It'll be more soon.
When?
Soon.
Down the line, 5 years, 10 years, or
Nah, it'll be a lot sooner than that.
what? Some checks start rolling in.
With some of the things that I got coming down the pike, yes. I intend for it to be that way.
That's great news. You signed a big contract over at ESPN. It's rumored to be 5 years, upwards of $100 million. Accurate?
No comment.
Do you feel like you're paid your worth?
Do I feel like I deserved more? Yes. But am I happy with what I have? Yes. Because the money is enough. It was more than fair. It was a negotiation that took 275 days. But it ended up happening, and I ended up in a very happy place. The money is one reason, but the biggest reason is the freedom that I was able to negotiate. The fact that I can, outside of sports, I can do anything I want is a big deal. It could be game shows, it could be a news show, it could be a weekly show, it could be a daily show. Having my production company, being able to do scripted and unscripted content, all of those things are available to me now. Owning my YouTube channel 100%, having all the revenue retained for myself if I so choose, having the freedom to do business with venture capitalists and private equity folks, to produce content for Disney or other networks in the event that they don't want it.
So you can do a lot, is what you're saying. You get paid a lot, and you can do anything.
I'm gonna say, like, yeah, you stretching it out pretty much. Thanks, you Speed.
And do not anything because I'm still. They have exclusivity with me in sports, as opposed to as it pertains to me doing sports on television, and that is it. There are no other. There are no other restrictions, and so that means a great deal to me because it's not about the money that I'm making. It's about the money I now have the potential to earn.
I know you're not on social media much these days, you say, but what do you think of accounts on Twitter like NBA Centel?
I don't pay much attention to it.
Do you know what NBA Centel is?
I think it's a fake NBA account.
Yeah, it is.
Yes.
And
but they got me a couple of times.
Quite frequently get you and other people. So you.
Other people?
Oh, of course.
Okay, all right.
You're not the only victim.
Well, I'm just saying sometimes like there's a lot that goes on at ESPN, and there's a lot of people that, like, for example, I have a social media person. Like, I might tweet something out, but they put out stuff on my behalf.
Sure.
You know, so because I got a lot of responsibilities, and sometimes I don't have time to do all of that stuff. So I'm not living on it like that. But I got you to get, more power to them. They had their moment. I hope they feel good about it.
Who in your career do you feel you made the best television with, regardless of what your relationship is with them now?
We can never dismiss Skip Bayless. What we had.
I was gonna say that was definitely like peak. I think them two.
Was big time because we are naturally polar opposites.
Do you feel like he's your number one though? Like you guys made the best television that you've ever made? Considering, Max and Shannon and whoever else.
I mean, me and Shannon and I love Shannon. Yeah. That's hilarious. But my whole crew, man, Swagoo, Ryan Clark, we've all had special moments where Skip is the creme de la creme. It's because he's the original, number one, and number two, because it was the most consistent. See, those guys come on once or twice a week or something like that. Mad Dog Russo's big time as well. But Skip and I were on 5 days a week together for years. And we delivered. And so I don't think that anybody can eclipse him. You
obviously have had quite the journey to get to this point.
I for sure agree with that.
But if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, you started at ESPN at 36. Is that right?
Yeah, that's about right.
So mid to late 30s
mid-30s
is when you started at ESPN, and that kind of was what brought you to the forefront for most people in the mainstream.
Yeah.
What's your message out there to people who maybe are at that point in their life in that, they feel like maybe it's too late?
You got to look in the mirror and be honest with yourself about who you are and what you bring to the table. You have to contemplate and take into account what level of sacrifice you're willing to make in order to be at the top. Part of being at the top puts me in the public eye. I know a lot of people don't want no parts of that. Part of being in my position is the way I dress and the way I carry myself. Sometimes people say I'm a bit too polished, but they didn't understand my mission. And I knew what my mission was and what I wanted to be. My mission was different than Scoop Jackson. My mission was different than Ryan Clark. My mission was different than somebody else. And so everybody's got their own thing. You got to know you. Then you got to know the business that you're interested in pursuing and all the elements that come with it and the sacrifices it may require in order for you to be where you are. And once you do that, you have to ask yourself at that moment, are you willing to pay that price? What we don't admit to ourselves that a lot of us want the rewards. We don't want the sacrifice that it takes to achieve them. And I'm somebody that I'm never under
Want the gifts without the rapper.
I'm never disillusioned by that. I always know there's a price that I have to pay. And I've always been willing to pay it. And the people that are around me know what price I'm willing to pay. And if you're not ready for that ride, bounce. Don't get on the ride and step in my way when you know you ain't ready to roll like that. That would piss me off. I know what sacrifice it is. You got to know what it entails. And you got to make that decision, whether or not it's going to be that way. That's how you got to approach everything that you're in pursuit of.
I love that. Stephen A., finally we made it happen.
That was dope.
I appreciate you stopping by. And I
was
can't wait to
real
see all
dope
the
way
other
to
money
end it.
you're going to make, you said.
I'm trying.
Appreciate you.
No doubt. Appreciate you.
Hey man, shout out to Stephen A. Shout out to Complex. Definitely big shout out to my guy Speedy. That was a really, really great interview. He does great interview, great work over there for sure. That was really insightful for sure, man. Like I said, the interview had you going up and down, left and right. Like Stephen A. does a great, great job of like making you feel one way, but then he like kind of draws you back in for sure. So yeah, I for sure want people to like and subscribe. Comment some of your favorite moments at the bottom. Would love to start some threads like always. Make sure you're following Mickeyswave, Godly Crown on all platforms. Go to godlycrown.com, get you some merch for sure. I appreciate everybody watching thus far, supporting. And like I said, it's the wave. I'm gonna catch y'all on the next one. Got so much more coming, original content, streaming, and so just stay on the lookout for all of that. I'll catch y'all.